Nah. Like, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
All right.
With you.
So,
We're totally with you. Okay.
Monday.
all right, wait. So hold up.
Easy.
Woosah.
Easy. Monday.
Let me set it.
Motivation. Easy.
Johnny. I'm stuck on the whole walking through the
80s, so
hallway.
she was like a Molly Ringwald to me. Like, if you know anything about the John Hughes movies.
Motivation.
I won $100 million.
Oh, God.
Easy.
I disappeared.
I got it. I know this is why it works. Because there is a way. You think do not. Like,
Hey.
Hey. Easy. Hey, welcome everybody to Easy Monday Motivation. It is your boy E, along with the lovely Johnny Mileage.
What's up?
And my homeboy CT, the man that be. How you doing?
What's up, family? What's up?
I am so excited to be here, y'all. Just knowing that we are within the third week of February. We have moved the marker. Black History Month is moving right along.
Cool.
I'm not happy about it, but I'm okay with it. I'm moving right along.
Why you happy about it, E? Why you not happy about it?
Because it's, all good things have to come to an end. And I was able to connect with a few people about Black History Month and really discuss some of the core foundational reasons why we celebrate it. And it kind of, you remember we had the conversation, kind of reinvigorated me to be like, okay, some people get it. Okay, okay with this. So I'm a little bit more on the neutral side, where before I was on the other side. So you know what I'm saying?
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah. That event, Valentine's Day happened, guys. So let me go ahead and happy belated Valentine's Day to you guys, to all the lovers out there. If you had somebody love on you and care for you, let's go ahead and give that love back. Happy Valentine's Day to all of you guys. Did you guys have a good Valentine's Day?
I did.
Don't be laughing at me, CT.
Sorry, we're in the episode. I'm just here.
Yeah,
You know what we did? We celebrated it a little later on, and we had a game. We went to a game night with a bunch of couples over our friend's house, and it was so much fun. Yeah. So the longest married couple was 28 years.
Woo!
That was nice. It. Yeah, 28 years. That's a long time, y'all.
That is. Mm-hmm. What about you, CT? The chocolate drop. I mean, because Lady Mel was on last week. Shout out to Lady Mel, the queen. Mel. All right.
So fun.
How'd you handle your Valentine's Day, sir? Did you give her some chocolate? I just got to ask. I'm just saying,
our Valentine's Day was actually really nice. We did do the little dinner out. So there's a spot we went to that we've been to before. Okay, yeah. I think everybody can appreciate when you go out, when you've had an epic dining experience, and where the food is great, and the host and the hostesses and the offerings and the sommelier, the whole nine. We had gone to this place once before, and so there was this idea that we wanted to have this repeat experience at this place, and it was not. Now, granted, I think some of it was because it was Valentine's Day and they were busy and all that stuff. But the food was good, and then I found this little joint. I got spammed on IG. And it was create your own heart. And so I found this little joint where you could create your own little heart basket for your partner, your friend, your spouse, your Valentine. And so I was able to find a little something, and it had some chocolate in it, had some candies in it, and it had some flowers in it, had a little rose bear in that joint. You know what I'm saying, Johnny? You asked the question last week, is your boy romantic?
Yeah, I did.
It has his own little special way to romanticize.
Okay,
it's really nice, right? And in the spirit of as how Melanie left us last week, I want all the people to remember to not eat yellow snow. There you go.
She was so good.
She was so good. Hey, listen, I've never listened to anybody tell me not to yellow snow until her. So, I mean, I'm just sorry, but the Mountain Dew slushies just confused me. So it's okay.
Yeah, so that was good. It was good.
So that's awesome. I'm glad I did not have a good Valentine's Day.
That's what I'm waiting to hear.
Yeah, what?
Did you take anyone out?
No.
You want to take you out?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I wish people happy Valentine's Day. I mean, like you do that because that's like the thing you're supposed to do. Happy Valentine's Day. If you're watching, happy Valentine's Day. I know it's like late, but happy Valentine's Day. You didn't think about me before that, so I don't know why I'm caring about you now.
I knew something like that was coming.
I'm just saying, like,
you see me, I was just like, okay.
I'm just saying though, like, Valentine's Day is a hallmark, thing. Like, I should be loving on you all year long. Just saying.
I gotta stop you. Don't Johnny. It is important that we make sure that as E is journeying in his life, he's got to change one of the letters when he says Valentine's. It's like somebody saying salmon versus salmon. Here they say it's Valentine's, not Valentine's. So I say
times because of how many times.
He's trying to be just disrespectful to the whole holiday. That's what it is.
Like, ain't no times. It's time. We done wasted time every year on this stupid holiday. I'm just playing.
I just felt like he was doing it on purpose. I'm like, whatever.
I could not just like leave it alone. I couldn't for all of the logical folks who do love the times versus the times.
I know it's times.
That was actually in the spirit of Melanie too, the English teacher, because I didn't want her to come up here on the pod in the comments and providing some English teacher stuff. So this was me helping you before the world said something about it. So
that's all right. I mean, look, I'm looking. I appreciate you. You're right. You know what? That's okay. So I'm glad you guys had a good Valentine's Day. Yup. I'm glad you did. Yup.
Yeah, I can tell.
I love this show so much.
Can't wait. I can't wait till Sweetest Day, just so I can do the same thing again.
Sweetest Day is for you. You know that? I learned.
Yeah, I knew it was for me.
I did. I've been missing it. I've been buying stuff for her.
I've known Sweetest Day has been for me for the last 8 years. Ask me how many times I celebrated it.
Okay.
Don't. Okay, we're gonna move on because love.
I think it's time to move on.
Yeah, it's time to move on because love has limits. Okay, over here I'm just playing.
And
because we love it without no limits.
And
we love it. we love it without no limits, and we love it beyond labels today.
Yeah,
so today's episode is about love again, and ladies and gentlemen, why I play, my friends know that I am a true romantic, and I am seeking romance and love and all those things. I just play with it. Okay, somebody has to be the bad guy, and I'm the agent of chaos. So today's episode, we're going to dive right back into love. It is still February. We still have love to talk about, and today we're going to talk about love beyond labels. And this is a very strong conversation about love because we're going to be dealing with the diversity in love. So CT, I'm going to come over to you to let you introduce today's special guest and today's topic. So
yes, thanks, E. And what's up, Easy Motivationers? Like, I hope you all enjoyed me in the conversation with Miss Melanie last week. I know I enjoyed it, and being able to do something with her, especially in this medium, meant the world to me. So thank you, Johnny. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, E, for being who you all were last week. And as we continue to think about how this pod advances, how we continue to grow, and how we think about topics and subject matter that is both provocative, motivational, we make sure that not just our voices, because there's a diversity of thought and perspective that we bring, but we want to make sure we're bringing some other voices into the conversation. And sometimes in the world that we live in, the society that we play in, sometimes people judge us based upon our labels. And so today we've got a gentleman who shows up every day outside of his label, and he is the essence of love. We get a chance to get to know him. We've got a chance to experience him, and I know you all are going to enjoy him. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to Easy Monday Motivation on this third Monday, February 2024. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Matthew Johnson.
Hey. What's going on? How are we? Good to see everybody. God, that was a great intro.
Wasn't that good?
I was thinking people might think like when I should have said something Johnson and they thought it was going to be The Rock, and it was like celebrity status coming in, but like you're a different level of celebrity status.
Yeah, better than The Rock.
So how you feeling, man? How was your Valentine's Day?
Yeah, you know what? I am lucky, right? Because I have been married for 10 years, and we we take it easy on each other when it comes to this type of like, okay, you got to tell somebody that you love them on this day like that. It feels disingenuous, right? So what we said, she actually looked over at me. This was probably like 4 days before Valentine's Day, and she's like, I hope you didn't get me anything because I didn't get you anything. I was like, okay, all right. So that's how we're starting the conversation. I was like, well, I had some stuff I was thinking about it, but since you are saying that you don't want me to get you anything, I won't, because this is what's happened in the past. She said that, and I've still gotten her something, and she still didn't get me anything, and now she feels guilty because I actually got her some. So I've experienced that part before.
Yeah.
So I took her at her word this year, didn't get her anything, but we have this date plan because we have this nice 3-day long weekend. So tonight, just me and her down in our basement. We're having movie night. We're getting the candles out.
Love it.
You know, probably, you know, go in the hot tub, like all those good things,
Yes.
and the kids will be occupied. So yeah, it'll
Love
be good.
it.
Yeah. So I gotta ask, Matt, Valentine's or Valentine's Day for you, sir? I'm just playing.
I mean, the old English was Valentine's Day, but I heard what you said earlier, and time again, it comes back around.
I love it. Well, I'm glad that everybody had a good Valentine's Day, and I'm gonna correct it now. Again, you know, from time to time, I'm gonna say it how I want to because that's who I am. Matt, we are so happy to have you here. You know, I've number one, like I got to call out my guy is like his swag in the back. Listen, I got liquor. You got better stuff. Your Marvel stuff is killing me. I'm a little jelly. I got to work on my background, but we definitely are very happy to have you here. CT, we are going to go into something a little different this time when we talk about love. And I want to play on this because I know there's a lot of things that we're going to get from you, Matt. And I would be remiss if I didn't start with who Matt was, right? Yeah. So, Matt, I just want to start off with the first question of, like, if we had to describe Matt, right? And let's say that Matt's mom had to say something about him and Matt's family had to say something. How would people describe Matt?
I think that's a great question. I think out in front, someone who cares a lot about his family. You said show ups every day for the family, like they all know it's about them, and I think that's one of the things that they would definitely call out is I'm very family oriented. No matter what we're talking about, usually, you know, when I talk about work and stuff, it's like it's always something that I'm doing so that I can do what I need to do for the family. And I think that's something that kind of comes across. I think, you know, they would call me goofy. They call me, you know, like my own type of person. Like, I think they definitely say that, you know, I'm not a person who likes boxes and things. I like to do my own thing. And I think what's really interesting is seeing how much of that, like each one of my kids gets. It's really weird to see that in somebody else, but I totally get it now. And I think they would just say that I'm a person who's believed in love for a long time. Like a lot of what I've been taught from the family values is just love and like hugs, and like we're like the huggy type of family. Like, you know, when you go to some families and everything's nice and cold, like we've always been like hugs, like everyone gets a hug. We're big huggers, and sometimes, you know, this gets me in trouble because I gotta stop myself. I'm gonna like, are you a hugger? Okay, cool, yeah, we can hug. But that's the type of person I think that's what they call out.
Nice.
I feel like that is so consistent with who we know you to be, right? The way you describe it, I know the question was about like how your family will respond, but that definitely spills over into your professional life as well. When I think about you, those are the things that I think about: bringing that positive energy, leading with your heart. You just emanate like love and just all of the things that you just said. That is exactly who you are, and you're consistent with that across the board. So
yeah,
absolutely.
And there's the other qualities too: stubborn, you know, hard-headed, wants to think he's right, you know, but it's all coming from the same place, right?
Yeah.
Love can take on, it does take on many forms. And sometimes when we label love based upon what experience we've had with love, sometimes the label doesn't always come across the way we want it to. And so sometimes, Matthew, and actually, let me ask it this way first, and then I'm going to get to the heart of the question. By the way, there are levels to this. And so we'll start you at a level that's responsible, and then we'll go to another level.
Wait,
and I will do.
Wait, did you spit
You
out
and
the
I
water?
go to the room right away? Going right
wait, hold on.
They did.
Like what my level's not responsible. I love it.
Oh shoot. So Matthew, question.
Yes.
When you think about your favorite labels, name your top 2 or 3 favorite labels. I'm not going to give a definition. I just want you to go with where you heard me say. What's your favorite labels?
Okay. First thing immediately popped in my head was father. Me being a father, it's probably been, you talking about earlier, people who never thought that they would have kids or be married, and I at one time in my life thought both of those things were true about me. Little did I know, having a child, like how much I would just fall naturally into that type of role. Like I love being a dad more so than like a lot of the other things in life. So that's probably one of the first things. Another label, I would probably say curious about everything, about life. It's something that I talk a lot about, no matter whether I'm in the professional setting or whether I'm at home. Being curious just about how things work and understanding people. It's like what drives me to have so many interactions and to really love being around people. It's because I'm naturally curious about who someone is, like what they're about. I was just at a basketball game earlier, and I was talking to a friend of mine's father-in-law, and we were talking about his work back in the foundry and how he was trying to graduate to the engine room and what it did for his family. And this was like in a 10-minute span. Like that's how deep that we got. Like that's that experience. So I think that's like one of those labels. Is just that natural curiosity. People say that I'm easy to talk to, but it's probably because I don't I try to listen. Like that's what I try to do. When people say it's easy to talk to me, it's because I sit there and I'm like interested in you and wanting to know more. So I definitely think curiosity is one of those huge labels. And then, family man, it's like one of those things where like, as I get older, like I have so much pride in building like my own part of my family, right? Like I'm happy at work. I'm happy with what I do. I've got my outside hobbies. But everything to me boils down to like, what's that feeling, right? Like when you could be doing anything in the world, like who would you rather be doing it with? And it's always the people that are in this house with me. 100%.
That's what's up. Level 1, you've graduated. Level 2.
Wait, hold on.
You made it.
I just got to say, like when you asked that question, the first thing I thought was death row. It's like, what label? Death row. No, I'm sorry. I couldn't help it. All right, you may continue.
Motown, sorry. I gotta
go. Yeah. Couldn't help it.
So when you think about the next level of label, death row, I'm still messed up on now. When you think about the next level of label, E actually brought in what I was thinking about when I thought about this next level question, and that is when people see your background, they label you based upon what they see in your background. So tell us about the label that is your background, because even if you didn't open your mouth to say a word, you are telling us a story about you. Tell us about your background, that label.
So, background wise, growing up, it was always interesting.
Hold on, let me clarify. I apologize. I meant literally your background. Like if you turned around,
yeah,
I see what your background is. Yeah. Like I want to know, I really want, there's a depth to this question, y'all, that I just, every time, because Matt and I are on the same team. So I get to see Matt's background, not his background, but his background all the time. And I imagine you were probably going to get to it, but I was just like, man, don't you mess up what this answer is. Because I need to know. I've been wanting to ask it, Johnny, for years, and I don't know why I haven't, and now I've got him on this pod. Oh,
yeah, it's time to ask.
I need to know what's up. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was like, man, I need to know. What's up? Okay, go ahead.
You need to know what's going on with all of this, right? Like
Yes.
Okay. Being a young, chubby, nerdy kid like I was growing up, you find pleasure where you can, and you gravitate to the things that your communities that you're a part of do. So at that time, it was comic books, it was Saturday morning cartoons, and I'll never forget when I first saw X-Men the animated series for the very first time in my life. It changed. It changed me. I knew that I loved comic books from that day on. I mean, I started watching the show, and then I started getting the toys, and then I started buying even more comic books, and eventually, like, it just became that one thing that I could continually go to all the time to, reconnect and to get story and adventure and life lessons. Really, I mean, to me, thinking back to those early Saturday morning cartoons, like, I learned a lot of life lessons watching X-Men the animated series. Did you know that they are an allegory for the racial struggles that Black people went through? Did you know
Come
that
on
about
now.
the X-Men?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, did you know that? Seeing them struggle on a consistent basis and how people treated them just based on the way that they looked, and that was something I think that I didn't know how much that I identified with it at the time. But I think looking back, like, a lot of those things make sense. Like I've always been a person where, like, I like the struggle between good and evil. I think we all have it. And I think it's you choosing that right step every day. And guess what? You're not always going to make that right move. You're not always going to be able to take that right step. But trying to do it consistently, trying to be that hope. That's what comic books are really for me. So that's how I got to this. And my wife's fantastic because she let me do all this. You see, this is not being without you, honey. In case you're listening.
Oh man, I love it. This is the last layer of the question, and I want Johnny to jump in. So you've given us 2 layers, and you actually started to move into the 3rd layer of the label question that I had in your last answer. And you are a Black man. And in the society that we have in, sometimes the experience as a Black man, you get labeled in certain ways. How have you been able to navigate, maneuver based upon your lived experiences on the label of being a Black man in America?
Ugh. Oh man, that is a level 3 question. I would say that, I feel like for the most part, when I ask myself this question, I try and look at the whole timeline, right? The 42 years that I've been a part of this earth. And I would say for the majority of that time, the label of a Black man is something that has always been something that I'm reminded of. I forget about it a lot of the time. And I forget about it because of the people in the circles that I'm around. It's typically not something that is an issue, because my friend group is diverse. So we all have seen it's not something that really is like a part. It's when someone like recognizes and calls it out, that I think I've really recognized it, right, in the past. Because when I think about my school experiences, when I think about my work experience, when I think about the opportunities that I've been given, I have been extremely blessed. I feel like don't get me wrong, I've done a lot of the hard work, but I have been blessed to have a path that's always been something that I felt like I had control over. And that being a Black man never really got in my way there. I think more often than not, when it's come up in my life, it has been around love. It has been around dating. In terms of any sort of less than positive context, I think the other side of that flip coin, though, is like sometimes it's been like a super kind of fun advantage. I went to, and I've been in some mostly white situations where I don't know about you, but to me it's fun to be the only Black guy around, because all of a sudden, you got the attention. You got people who might be afraid of you, which you're like, cool. I'm not gonna have any problems here. Like there's some things that come along with that make it not fun. But I'm like, I see both sides of it. Like I've had it be one of those things that's been hard for me to deal with, but I've also had it be one of those things that's been an advantage. And I think I want to acknowledge both sides, because I don't want people to think that like it's one or the other.
Yeah,
that's why we love you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the yes and, like, both things can be true, right? It doesn't have to be one or the other. So, okay, so this is another question I was kind of thinking about. My head is all over the place right now because I have a lot of questions in my head. But so coming from being of a multiracial background, right? Oftentimes you hear that people have struggled with not belonging in certain groups, right? Sometimes they feel I'm not black enough, I'm not white enough, I'm not Asian
Yep.
enough, I don't know where I belong. And I remember asking a friend of mine the same question, like, have you ever struggled with that? Because you seem so confident. And her response was like, no, not at all, right? Because I was just
Yeah.
being me. I don't know the answer to this question, but you appear to be very confident in who you are. And that doesn't appear to be like a struggle for you. So I just kind of want to know, like, where does that confidence come from? Is it true? Is it really confidence or just something that you like presenting to us? Have you ever really struggled with that at all?
God, these are fantastic questions. I would say yes and to everything that you just said. So starting off, just in terms of, is it something that has ever been a struggle? Yeah, it has. It has been a struggle. I think some of that struggle, to answer your other question, is what ends up leading to the confidence that you see today, right? Like the Matt that you see today hasn't always been the Matt that he is, right? Like I've grown over time to be this person. I think when I was younger, it was definitely something that when it first came up, I was very confused about like why, it was an issue, like what was going on, and like figuring out, that more macro look at race relations. It was tough, right? Because my mom's white, my dad's black. My mom was disowned when her great grandmother found that she was having me, and then after she had me, great grandma comes back around, and everything's good in the family. So I've had those experiences from a very early age. Now that's a story that I've gotten told, so that's part of that like historical knowledge that keeps getting passed around. But like, you should be happy, like your whole family loves you. But I remember the first time that I realized that I was being singled out as other because of that, and it was very early on. It was like second or third grade. I was hanging out with this kid named Chad. He was like my best friend at the time, and we were playing with a little action figure. So you could probably relate to me. Playing with your action figures, going back and forth with your friends. And there was this sword that was this really cool, intricate sword, and we both wanted it, right? Like we both wanted that sword. So we both go and grab for it. I get to it first. I'm like, ha, I got it. Put it in my guy's hand. And then he gets mad at me, and we're like fighting like guys do. And he uses the N-word, right? Okay. Remember, this is second grade, third grade me. I had no clue what he had even said, right?
Okay.
So he says it to me, and it's more like jerk or something. I was like, oh yeah, blah blah. And his mom heard in the other room. She came like rushing over to me, right? So, and just like, this is one of my white friends. So she came rushing over to me. She's like, I'm so sorry. She was like apologizing to me, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. She's like, do you want me to take you home? She's like, I can't believe like what happened. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, I get. And I thought she was taking me home because we had gotten in a fight. I had no clue what had actually happened until I got home, and she talks to my parents, and it was my parents who actually explained to me what happened.
Wow.
And it was at that time, that was like the first time that I was like, oh, I'm like, well, what does that mean? And they're like, look, sometimes you're gonna have to deal with people who may not like you, just because of what you look like. And their big thing was like, those people don't matter. That's what they always told me. So you talk about the confidence piece. My mom is from a long line of very, very confident women. My dad probably has a little bit too much confidence on his side. So you get what you get when you end up being their type of kid, right?
Yes,
So they're like, look, those people don't matter. The people that love you are going to always be there for you. And just instilling in you the belief in yourself, right? And I remember going from that situation to really investing in like self-esteem. Like we had those self-esteem like assemblies. Like I always liked them because I found something with like self-esteem. I'm like, if I like myself enough, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. If I like me, I'm good. And that's the place that I eventually got to. Now there were plenty of other times where it creeped back up.
Sure.
One of my favorite times, because usually when I tell these type of stories, like I'm always talking about how, like white people were like getting after me and stuff. And, there was this one time I remember, this was 7th grade. Okay. So I come from one of these school districts.
Hard anyway.
Yeah, this is about to get juicy. So I come from one of these school districts where, the multiple elementary schools come into one junior high, right? And I was from one of the diverse elementary schools, right? Black kids, white kids, Asian kids, Latinos, everyone was represented there. And then we all come to junior high, and there was one school that I remember that had been probably like the majority black school, and like every other school was afraid of them, right? Every other school was afraid of them, scared for no reason, right? But we hadn't all been together yet. So I remember I'm like walking in the lunch line for the very first time, and you guys remember this? Like I was so happy. I just went school clothes shopping. I had like the brand new everything on, like top
Oh
to
yeah.
bottom. I was feeling myself a little bit too much. You know, I was in the seventh grade, so I was like, "Great things are about to happen today, Matt. Great things are about to happen."
It's on. It's on.
I'm walking through,
Uh-huh.
walking through the lunch line, and all of a sudden this person's like, "Beep, beep, beep," and I'm like looking around. I'm like, "What in the world?" Beep, beep, beep. And then someone yells like, "Uh-oh, looks like there's a flood coming." And it was the table from the other school, mostly black children who were making fun of my pants because they happened to be too small. I didn't even know any of that at that time. Didn't know any of that. And that was one of those things that always stuck out in terms of like, you know, never feeling like you fit in anywhere. Like when you have those experiences on both sides, like sometimes it's hard to feel like you fit in unless someone else is also biracial and's been through it. Like when neither side wants you, like who do you end up with? So
Yeah.
that was one of those instances where, you know, it was tough. I like went home and explained what happened. Luckily, you know, mom had a little bit of a heart. She let me go buy 2 new pairs of jeans that just
Oh,
happened to
thanks,
be
Mom.
2 inches longer. Oh, and it touched the shoe and
Come
everything
on,
was
Mom.
good. But what I don't often tell people about that story was the people at that table later on in the same year were the same ones who took me at the first dance, and they were like, "Come over here, like let's show you like some dance moves." And to this day, I'm a
You
dancing
told
machine
me.
because of them.
You
A
told me
dancing
about
machine because of them. Listen, it was a
told
life
me.
changing. I was like, oh, I'm like, this feels good. I was like, okay, this is how it goes.
Listen, hey, you saw what happened. They was like, somebody got my man in them floods, and we got to get him out them floods. Then there's like, he kind of cool. Then the dance came up, like, man, get over here with us, man. Get over here, man.
Yeah, I love that.
Get on over here, man. Let me show you how to do this funky Y2. So he was like, I think I can do this.
I love that.
Yes.
Wait, can I say something before we move
Go
on
for it.
from
Go
this?
for it.
I'm sure y'all have questions too. But what I really think is important, because you know this podcast is all about being motivational.
Yeah.
Oftentimes we look at people and think like, oh my gosh, they have the perfect life. You know, they look a certain way, they present themselves a certain way. And Matt just brought up some really good points, that his confidence has come from different things that have happened over his life, and it is built up over time. So for any of our listeners who may think like, oh my gosh, they have it all together and I wish I could be like that, it's really about the experiences that build your confidence, that make you who you are, right? And we all have those things, and that confidence comes from within. So I just thought that was a really good thing to point out. Like, don't look at other people and compare yourself and think like they have it all together and I don't. No, I wish I had more. No, everybody got their stuff, and it's all their stuff that has brought them to who they are today, right? It had to be the 42-year-old Matt that's like, okay, now I've learned a little something and I can handle this. And that's what you're passing on to your boys, right? But if we went back 20, 30 years later, it could have been a different story. So I love that. I just wanted to call that out. That was good.
Hey, did you hear it too? Did which when she was talking? It was like, don't start no stuff, won't be no fun. Did you hear it? Did you hear it? I heard it. I heard it in my head. I couldn't let that pass up. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Don't start no stuff, won't be no
fluff.
Right? That's gonna be one of our new songs on the pod. Like,
I love it. So Matt, I'm gonna come to you, and of course, I'm the guy that's gonna kind of like do the little bit darker side. So I want to know about the labels that you don't love, the things that you have possibly experienced where you're like, no, don't call me that. Like, no, that doesn't apply to me. That's a stereotype you're projecting. Like, let's talk about those times, because I know you see, the thing is, like, I know you've had to stand in front of a lot of people, and you've had to talk to a lot of people, and a lot of people have assumed things about you, and they've tried to label you based off of just appearance alone. So I know that you've had to combat that. So I want to hear more about the struggle of fighting labels.
You know, there's sometimes where people use labels, and what's bad about when they're using them is they're using them in a context where they're like, oh, I'm actually trying to give you a compliment. Like, this is something that I think you should be proud of. And you were just talking about speaking in front of a lot of people. I think my least favorite compliment label is how great of a speaker that I am. It's something that because the people that say it usually say it in like that tone, like, you speak so well.
Like that Chris Rock joke.
I
Like,
also
yeah,
went to school.
I'm educated.
I also
Yeah.
understand the English language. Yes, I totally
Yeah.
get how you talk in a public setting. It does make sense. So that's one of those where that's something that happens a lot, right?
Yeah.
Like it happens a lot when you're out there doing the things that we do.
Yeah.
You know, Johnny kind of brought up like people think like everything's always sunshine and rainbows, and they're like, oh, like you're always so positive. It's like, yeah, but I'm also a person too. Or like you must love like always hanging around people. But like I love people, but I also need to recharge and be away from people too. So you know, I think that's one side was when those compliments just aren't compliments. There's like a couple other ways that people express that same sort of sentiment about you, and you got to be careful. I think I think that sometimes when you do tend to try and be in the environments that we are and speak the way that we are, sometimes you get called out in the opposite way too. Like, you know, Uncle Tom is definitely like one of those that I don't like hearing, because to me, you know, when I think of Black people, you know, sometimes I'm concerned when like other people think Black people, right? Like when I think Black people, like I'm always thinking like the inventors and like the leaders and the money makers and like the successful side of what we do. So for when someone else calls me something that is outside of that, that's a problem to me. You know, I'm like, just because, you know, when I'm in public and I'm speaking in front of a lot of people, I'm very conscious of the way that I do it so that everyone can understand. Like that's okay, but I can come back with my friends and you know and be myself a little bit more. Yeah, because we're in different environments there. Like that's what makes sense. So to me, like sometimes it's not fair because people just only see that one side of you. So that's one of those that I don't really like, because I'm like, look, I'm just as Black as everybody else. I've been through my own struggles. You know, I support my community. Like I love for us all to be lifted up. Like that's one of those things that I absolutely love. So having a label like that applied by your own community sometimes sucks. And then you have the other label, right? You have you have the other one that I myself, you know, I
Come on, talk about it. Talk about it.
I feel like when it's said, right, you know, I'm always looking at the person that says it. I'm like, what about you in your life made you feel like that was the right moment to say something like that? Because yes, it's just a word, right? It's, when you break it down, it's just a word, but behind words there are meaning. I tell my kids this all the time. Wife, if you're listening, absolutely love you, but I tell you too all the time, words have meaning, and the way and how you say things has an impact on other people. That's how humans communicate. That's biology. You don't have any control over that. So for people to say, oh, it's just a word, it doesn't matter, I'm like, yeah, like that's technically correct, but the feeling and the animosity that tends to be behind it when people say it like that to you out of turn, that's a problem. So, you know, I think that's one of the ones where I don't hear it probably as much as I did when I was younger. I think, you know, this is me being completely honest. I think being the size that I am, people are like, no, I'm not gonna say it to him. Nope, I'm gonna say, where's that little guy down? Like no, like, and so people like, but I can feel it, right? So like, for instance, I belong to a country club, and like half the time I feel like it's seething hatred, and half the time I think like it's fetishing excitement, you know. And then there's like the few people that I actually do enjoy meeting there. Like I've met some really cool people there, but I've also met people on both sides where they're like, oh, hello, how are you? And they're like, I'm like, I feel like you're just like almost like a zoo sort of feeling. I hate that. I hate that feeling. So like getting it like both sides. And Chris, I know you play a lot of golf, so you've been around people. It's just, you usually get one or the other. So it's like those sort of labels too that I think I see more often. People not being very overt, but man, I feel like someone can label you without even having to say a word.
Yeah, you know, I can identify, you know, with the height thing, you know, Matt, you know, in terms of how
you mean
tall,
like just the opposite, just the opposite
somebody is and whatnot. But I digress. So I'm curious.
Why are you hiding behind the microphone?
I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where he was going. I didn't know where he was going. I just had to do.
I know, because I thought he was saying something else about speaking and being in front of people, because it just kind of, you know, I was thinking, and then I was like, oh, he said height.
It was all about height. Yeah, it was all about how tall I am in the spirit. Like I'm a giant. Anyway, but man, like I think Like I really, really appreciate how you are sharing a part of your story.
Yeah.
But in the spirit of our pod, one of the things that I think is important is how do you recover? Like when you do have those moments where somebody is gone left and they've gone left towards you, whether it is direct, indirect, overt or not, when you know it or you experience it, how do you recover? And if you were providing some motivation to some folks who are listening to say, listen, this is how you might practice or model something that I do, how do you recover from those moments, man?
I think that's a great question. I think the first thing when I think about recovery, it's who is the people that are in your corner. Like if I were to go into that situation and have it happen, but not be able to go and what I would call like download about it, just like tell somebody else so I could get it off of myself and share that with someone. I think it'd be a lot harder to handle those type of incidents, right? And I think obviously somebody in the past who's been instrumental because she's seen a lot and she's understood a lot was always my mom. I'm lucky that she still lives with us. She helps us take care of our kids, so I could still go to her. But I think a lot of times, like I go to my wife now. She's like the person who like thinks like the most of me, right? So I'm like, oh my God, like this person, and she is more militant at her 5 foot self than I'll ever be. In terms of like, she's like, if somebody said, what about you? Or like, how are they acting? Like she gets very upset. And I think, this may be bad, but I think sometimes like that helps me to help calm her down to be like, hey, honey, it's okay.
That's good.
We don't worry about those people. And me saying it out loud to her reminds me, right, of what I've been told, like going back to that self-confidence thing. So I think you need people around you that let you talk it out. I think you oftentimes need to be reminded, about how great that you are. And so I have friends and I have hobbies that I do that I love, and I try to be as successful as I can at work, and those little things constantly just remind me, but like, what your worth is, like, what your value is, you show it every day, like those people don't matter, right? And I think one of the other things that I personally have liked to do in those situations is just continue to be me and continue to have a good time. Usually I draw people in. So when you end up being the person who's looking at me weird, but you're the last person by themselves and everyone else is over here having a good time, to me, that's like, I feel okay now.
I love that. I love that. Matt, I do that too. I absolutely love that. Like, oh yeah, you don't like me? Be the only one.
That's right. You can be over there not having a good time, but when we're laughing and joking and yeah.
That's on you. That's on you. Is there anything that you would say to people who have recognized that they have certain biases, who are, I don't know, maybe live like in their own little world, has not really experienced a lot of different people from different backgrounds and all of the things, or even for some of us who have, what would you say to all of us who need to like actively kind of break down some of those barriers and remove some of the labels and stop viewing the world only in labels? What would you suggest is some of the things that we can all do?
I think one thing, if we all just took the time, like go get to know somebody else, right? Like go get to know someone that you have no reason to know. I think that's one of my favorite things about traveling or being out in public venues is I get to talk to thousands of different people. It was one of the things I always loved about being a bartender, was someone would walk in, and because of the relationship, I'd automatically get to have a conversation with them. I've learned so much, and I think that's where my passion for people comes. That's the only way that you break down biases, is if you learn more about people. If you go out and seek people, you can see that when it all breaks down, like no matter what country I've ever been in, like everybody's pretty much the same, right? Like we all want love. We all want to be able to feed our family. We all want to have a little bit of fun, and we all want to go to sleep safe at night. Like it's real simple. Like those are simple wants and needs, and we all have them. So for me, when I try to do that, I'm always asking questions. I'm always out there talking to somebody. I'm like, I want to know something about you that you've never told anybody. I have these conversation starters that I use all the time that I'm like, I can talk to anybody. I'm like, right now, show me somebody. Okay, I'm going to go and I'll be with them for the next 15, 20 minutes.
You can. You definitely can.
I was like, people, this is what you have to do. Like, I feel like when I think of people who haven't experienced a lot in their lives, it's not a feeling of feeling bad for them, but I just want more for them. So a good example of this, my wife's mom, right? She lived on the same street that she grew up in. The house that her and her husband bought was on the other side of the street, right? Small town. They got married at 18. She never had a job. She took care of the kids in the house. She had hardly been out of her little bubble. And we just took her to her first cruise. And you would have thought that this woman was experiencing life
Love
for
that.
the very first time. Her first Uber, her first flight, her first buffet that was like that. Like she was just having a great
Love it
time.
so much.
And afterwards, like she took myself and my wife and she was like, wait, we can't thank you so much. Like we had more fun than we ever thought that we could. And you like saw the genuine appreciation because she finally got to experience like something outside of that bubble. So that's something that, you know, as much as I would love for my kids to stay home with me the whole time, I'm like, boys, look, you got to see the world. Like you got to get out there. There's so much out there and you won't know who you are or what you like until you're out there trying to figure it out. And I'm sorry,
That's
I
true.
can't tell you
That's
who
true.
you are.
That's
I
good.
can't. I can give you some lessons that I hope will help out. But
Gosh,
you
that's
got to
so
figure
good.
that out. And you know, that's it's to me that's like a sensitive subject because I feel like when sometimes I'm sure everybody has this experience, but I remember like once I was in college, like my dad being real hands off, like when I was running into trouble and stuff. You know, like more so than mom. Like I could call mom and mom always had my back. You know, if she would find $15 when I knew she was only getting paid $5. Like that was
Yeah.
mom. Dad was kind of like, yeah, you know, I'll try. You know, I'll try. You know, let me know if you need it, like that sort of thing. And like at the time, you know, it wasn't comfortable. It wasn't what I liked. You know, it had an impact on our relationship. But like after I grew up essentially and like figured it out and then had my own family, you know, I could turn around to him and be like, I get it. Like I totally get it now. I'm like, you know, you probably wanted to step in a little bit more, but understood the things that I now understood as a father is that sometimes you just can't step in. You gotta let your kid get hurt a little bit. You gotta let your kid
That's
get that
so
bruise
hard.
or yeah, it is hard. And it's one of those lessons that you learn. But I think that it's to me, when we think about breaking down bias, it all has to do with just wanting to be curious about somebody else,
Yeah, it
right?
is.
You don't know someone's story,
I agree.
but I'll tell you this: you spend enough time talking to somebody, I bet you'll find a place to connect. I always tell people, I'm like, that's what I love about people. I feel like that's why I can talk to anybody. It's like, let's go through the list of things that I know. I've always been a generalist, right? Like some people like to specialize. I like to know a little bit about everything so I can have a conversation with somebody, right? Like to me, that makes me a more agile person. It makes me more versatile to be able to do that. And it comes in handy because if I try something and it doesn't work, I'm trying something else. I'm trying something else. And we'll eventually come to a spot where, oh, you like steak? Oh my God. Guess what? We both like to eat. That's great. We can talk about eating.
Hey, let's
and
go.
you get down. That's where you can really get to know somebody
love
else. You know,
that.
those are those exciting moments. But that's how you get rid of bias. It's really going out there and getting to
Absolutely.
the people. Yeah.
I love it.
Oh wow! So we just cured people. All right, man. Just know I'm happy back on the Father's Day episode, just because CT's gonna need some support because we gonna go in on Father's Day. That was amazing. I'm gonna go around and see if there's any more questions for Matt before we go into our what would Grandma do?
I do have one more question though.
I figured you did. I saw it bubbling.
Hit me with it.
So the one thing we have not got a chance to really touch in this conversation is, Matthew, you have the blessing of being in a what one might call an interracial marriage, right? And I think people who know some of my story, my father remarried white, my mother remarried white, my sister married white, my brother married white, my sister married white, and I married the light-skinned black girl, right? Y'all met her last week.
Yes, we did. What's up, Mel?
Ms. Mellon.
And sometimes like the experience you have in that mixed context sometimes brings difference and oftentimes challenge. And I would love to have you just talk a little bit about what that experience has been and how you all have helped to build framework and foundation and even boundaries for your children. And even in your answer, I can only assume that the listeners will grab, and this is where I want the listeners to really listen, because I think some of Matt's life context and lived experience is really healthy. It's responsible. And we have, again, the benefit of getting to know you and have heard a little bit and watched you kind of live out. But I'm fond of how you continue to maneuver through life. And I would love our listeners to be able to make sure they've got some context for that piece of you, that label that comes with your life and how you love to.
Oh, I love this. I'm sitting on the edge of my seat.
This is a good one. So remember when we talked about dancing? That's actually how my wife and I ended up getting together, by the way. When you got the moves, you got the moves. But
Hey,
Come on now.
hey,
About it.
hey. I love it.
there's a whole story there. We might need a whole other podcast. I think so for her and I, our different backgrounds do come up. I mean, we're in it together. So let's take raising kids, right? Like there's a lot of times where I am very much of the mindset of, okay, like the kids need to earn the things that they do. And if they're not, then we as parents need to make sure that we're okay with what we've established as consequences and just make sure that we adhere to those, right? Seems simple. But sometimes like that's not the way that it works out if both people aren't on the same page. So how you navigate those situations, especially when there are differences in maybe the way that you see things, ours comes down to those core things about what we like about each other. Like I think my wife and I genuinely like each other as people. I think I respect her. I think that she's intelligent. I think that she's caring. I think she has the best interest out for her family. I think that she's protective. She's comforting. She's warm. So there's all these things that I love about her. So anytime that we're having one of those friction points, one of the ways that we do it is we get away from each other. We get some time to ourselves to really think about what we've done and said. And we come back from that aspect of, okay, remind yourself about what is it that you love about her and like start the conversation from that point, right? Start from the things that you love about each other. I think also big sort of moral questions. And I think for different people, like they answer this differently, right? Like if you may be of the same religion or, you have some of the same backgrounds. I think for her and I, like there's a lot of these big moral things that we're on the same side of. So it makes it easy when it comes down to the things that matter. We always have each other's back. It's those other things that sometimes get in the way. Like I told you, I come from a long line of very strong females. So there are some times where you could say my type A personality gets in the way of her and I, and then sometimes, her wanting to be accommodating and not wanting to make a decision can get in the way of our relationship. Sometimes it's like, how do we handle those moments where not letting it get too far down the road? So I think we reel it back. What are the things about her that I absolutely love that I wouldn't trade for anybody else on the planet? And if I can have enough time to like sit back and think about those, we always usually come back together. And there's sometimes where I'm also that person where I really want to talk things out, right? Like I want to address it now. Again, I think it comes down to like, if I don't get it out now, I'm not gonna be able to express myself as well, or really get the things out that I want to say, or I'll forget. And for her, she needs that time away from me to really step back and think. So it's about respecting each other and trying to meet each other halfway. But I mean, honestly, like CT, it's all about that love at the end of the day. Like we love each other, and we know that we're in it together. And there's no other person that I would want have my back other than her. Like she's shown me time and time again, like I'm hers and she's mine, and that's how we walk through life. That's it.
I love it.
I love it.
There it is.
It was good.
Yeah.
All right, Matt. Now I got some AOC questions for you. You ready?
Ready.
All right. Marvel or DC?
Ooh, Marvel.
Favorite Marvel character?
Ooh, the Hulk. Absolutely.
Oh, you and my son get along. Most hated Marvel character?
My most hated or the most hated?
No, yours.
My most hated Marvel character. That's a great question, because what's really strange about that question is a lot of the villains I absolutely love, right? Like I love the Magnetos and I love the Doctor Dooms. I think sometimes like I hate sort of like the like goofy characters. So one guy that I thought I would hate for forever was Condiment Man. He was a bad guy Batman until the Harley Quinn series, where I felt
it was good.
Condiment Man finally got his dues. I was like, okay, now I can see. So I those characters that are goofy or characters that are pandering, those are not my favorite.
Yeah. I like that. All right. So here's the doozy. All right, and this would be my last question. All right. If you could choose your favorite child of all of them, who would your favorite child?
Why does he do this?
On purpose?
Did you say favorite child?
Yeah, your favorite child. Who's your favorite kid?
My favorite kid.
Who's asking
It would be
people
my
to-
new dog, Fiona. She is my absolute.
There you go. Good answer, Matt.
So the kids didn't win at all. I love this. This is perfect.
Hey,
Hey,
home out. I'll take her any day.
I hear you.
Chaos.
That's the reason why she's
You know
jealous.
what? That's such an interesting question because to be completely honest, I would say
Hmm.
it depends on the day. It depends on the day. Who has been more annoying that day than yesterday?
Yes. That's a very
That's a good.
good answer. Isn't that a great answer?
Hey. His answer is better than anybody's.
Changes all the time.
Yes. His answer has been the best answer.
Yes.
It depends
yes.
on the day.
Whatever. His
So what time
answer
of the
was.
day?
Come on. His answer was super diplomatic. Y'all stop playing.
Yeah.
Y'all know he avoided the real answer. He didn't want it. He didn't want the conflict. He didn't want the chaos in his house.
But you know, no. But what I love is that he didn't say, I love my kids just the same. They're
He did,
exactly
right.
that. He just said, it just kind of depends on the day. Like
Yeah.
it depends on who's being less annoying. And it's
You
so
know-
true because they're so annoying. So it just all depends.
I love it. I love it.
Diplomatic, yes. Honest, absolutely. You know what? Right now, one of my sons was not hustling at basketball, so Dad's looking at him a little bit different today. Like, why were you out there hustling? Come on.
Uh-huh.
You represent all of us when you're out there on the court, not just you. Don't you know this?
That's bad.
Like, hey,
Coach is looking at me like, I don't know what happened.
like right now, your brother winning right now, right? You know your brother winning.
Right, exactly.
Like, in the grand scheme of things, my love for him is higher than yours because you ain't running. Okay, just want you to know.
Like,
When we get home, just know I'm gonna look you right in the eye, and I'm just going. That's is that not the worst thing a dad can do? You just look your kid in the eye and be like, and they be like,
Mm-mm.
You ain't even got to nod your head. Just that look, right? Just
Yeah, that's true.
I
Yeah,
love it though.
that's
Well,
true.
thank you, Matt. You have been an
Oh, thank you so
excellent
much, Matt.
guest. Listen,
Thank you, guys.
the truth is we're gonna have to chop up all of this to really understand and create some clips out of some of the great answers that you gave us. Like, I can't even, like, there's so many things about just being authentically you,
Yeah.
right? Because that's one of the underlining things that I know that we got here. It's like we got to meet Matt, and Matt didn't talk like, well, this is how Matt is in this instance. This is Matt, y'all. This is who he is. I present the same person everywhere. I love my family this way. I love myself this way. I get loved this way. It's beautiful. You now, sir, have showed us how to love beyond labels, and that was amazing. So thank you. Now,
Thank you. Three of the best hosts on the planet. Again, the best podcast I've ever been on. Hands down.
thank you. And he's been on everybody's podcast. So
Yep. Look it up.
There's one shot to know.
Been around the world.
That's right. We actually polled like 7-year-olds to understand what questions to ask, Matt, and none of them had any, so we had to get new pollers. So what I'm gonna do is go to CT to tell us what would Grandma do in this scenario. What would Grandma have to say about love and labels of love?
It's funny. Grandma has been showing up on this pod this year by saying, come here, baby. Because she's been really thoughtful about how she wants to consider what is it that she wants to say.
Mm-hmm.
And Grandma, interestingly enough, she might have picked the word label. But Grandma said, instead of label, Grandma said, you need to love your brand. Our word for today from Grandma is brand, BRAND. And so when you think about something beyond your label and your brand, B is you have to believe in you. I believe in you and me. It's always got to be a song when Grandma is given a description of what she wants to tell the people. And in your brand, you've got to believe that you are that stuff. We used to say better than sliced bread. Like chocolate, like you got to find that piece inside of you that you believe beyond anybody else or anything else that you are that stuff, because you are the R, you are rare. Just like God knows how many grains of sand they're all on the ground. And how many hairs you have on your head? No comments about my bald head because there's some hair there. There is a rarity about you. There's nobody else like you in the world. So you've got to be able to believe that what you bring to the conversation, what you bring to the table, what you bring to this earth, the rarity of that needs to come in a way that you believe in you. But you can't believe in you unless you got the right attitude about it. I remember the movie, remember the Titans, and I remember the linebacker said, attitude reflect leadership. And if you want to be able to lead yourself properly, you must have the right attitude about yourself because you believe in you, because you know you're rare. Your attitude comes to the table in a way that allows you to now tell the right narrative. That's your Narrative, the right narrative. Sometimes if you don't have the story right in your own mind about who you are, about what you can accomplish, about this best thing since sliced bread who's sitting in front of you right now because I'm rare. You've got to know that your brand will speak for itself. And when your brand can speak for itself because you believe in who you are, because you are rare, because your attitude is right, because the narrative in your head is being told in the right way, you have to be dedicated to that story. You have to be disciplined in that story. You have to decide that that story is the one that you're going to tell, no matter what anybody else has to say. And that, friends, is what grandma would say is, baby, not just your label, but your brand. Thank you, grandma. Thank you.
All right, come on, grandma. I got to get a
grandma. Yes.
Yes, grandma.
Grandma like that.
Listen,
That's right.
Listen, because my grandma just hits me. I don't know about this.
You need it. You need it. You need it.
I want y'all to say. I just
want y'all to know. Discipline on the back end of that. Was that the branch you took?
I want you to know, Johnny, you just approved my abuse. It's okay. And with that, Johnny, what you got?
Whatever. You know, I should have went before CT because CT just dropped it on us, and I just feel like, oh my goodness. That was good. That was really good. So here's the thing that I've been thinking about throughout this conversation about love beyond labels. You know, our brain puts things into categories as a way for us to, in a way for it to sort of protect us, right? It's easier for us to kind of group things so we know how to approach it, how we know how to approach people and certain things. And sometimes that can be helpful. But sometimes those labels can get in the way, right? It gets in the way of us seeing our humanity. And that's what it comes down to. Like Matt mentioned that all throughout his conversation today. It comes down to just seeing people for who they are. And we have so much more in common than what we do different, right? So we put all these labels on us of like our gender, our race, religion, all of these things. And again, sometimes it can be helpful to find that community of people that are a lot like you. But if we remove some of those labels, your community will get even bigger because I guarantee you'll find people who have a lot of the same interests that you do that you would have never thought of. And all you have to do is start off with one conversation, right? That's all it takes is one conversation. And then it can grow from there. And so as we're talking about loving beyond labels, let's just challenge like all of our listeners out there to have conversations with people this week that you would have never had before. And I guarantee you'll find something in common and just open up our hearts and our brains just a little bit more to increase our community. So that's all I got today. It was such a great conversation and just, reach out and expand your community just a little bit more.
She always got gems.
Always do. She always got them.
But
she got homework.
She does, right?
Oh, yeah, I did get homework.
There's something interesting new about our pod, though, is that, you know, while grandma has something to say, and she has had, and while Johnny, what you got, has something to say, there is something new that we all want to know. And what is the A, the O, the C from E?
Well, if I got to be honest, today's AOC from E is straight from the words of my main man, Matt. Sometimes you need to download before you explode. Okay, if you take the time to download those conversations or the experiences that you're having to the right people, you can diffuse the whole situation. Yeah. Matt, I picked up on that 100% to be like, hey, yo, my method of dealing with stuff is, yo, I need to get this off my chest so I can now deal with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
out here in the world, not inside of me. And I'm like that too. Like if I deal with things and it's internal, it's churning the monster in me that's gonna eventually come out, and people gonna be like, yo, I didn't like that. But if I get the opportunity to go and unload that and download that to somebody, and then we can really deal with it, and I can get perspective from outside, now I'm ready to have the conversation about it because I can circle the whole thing and have a holistic thing. So from your AOC, your boy E, download before you explode. Oh. If you need time, that is also fine. That's what we're gonna do. All right. There we go. Yeah. From your AOC out here. We out here. All right. Come on. So guys, this has been a beautiful episode. Matt, you've been an excellent guest. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into our final thoughts. And Matt, as our guest, we're gonna get some final thoughts from you. Do you have any motivation that you'd like to kick out there? Any final thoughts you want to leave with the motivationers?
Yeah. I think I want to leave people with just take the time. It doesn't take long, like Johnny said, to get to know somebody else. It just starts with that first conversation. So just take the time, get to know somebody else, get to know somebody that you don't have any right getting to know. And I guarantee you will be happier that you do. I've never had anybody say, you know what, I went to get to know some people and it turned out horrible and I'm never doing that ever again. Like no one's ever said that to me. They've been like, wow, just taking the chance. I've met so many people. I've connected with people. And when you take your current group and you turn into that big old tribe, like that's how you find that success. Like that's what success really looks like. The people around you.
Yep. That's beautiful. Success is the people around you. Who loves you? Who loves you? I win.
Who loves you?
All right. CT, I'm coming to you for your final thoughts, my guy. What do you got for me?
Yeah, listen, Matt, I'm a fan, like been a fan for a minute, and grateful that you brought your perspective, your words, your thoughts. And I think for our listeners, one of the things that becomes, I think, important to me is the label oftentimes gives you the ability to go have that conversation. And sometimes when my label matches your label, there's a comfortability because we have a connection, and that connection allows me to find how I can now love you. And so as you are thinking about the way to build deeper connections, sometimes the easiest step for you to take is that while I think Matt is 100% right, you go find somebody that is different or you don't know about them. But if you are uncomfortable, just find somebody that has a label like yours. And your label might be dad. Your label might be man. Your label might be Marvel. Whatever it might be, go beyond it to find what love looks like. When you find that love, that's when real, true relationship begins to happen.
Oh man, look at you pushing people beyond the label and to seek the label. And it's death row. Okay, I'm a Johnny my leash. I'm gonna go ahead. I keep hearing Tupac in my head, so I gotta stop. Johnny my leash, your final thoughts.
I'm just super grateful that Matt said yes and joined us. I mean, Matt, you're already one of those people that we could continue to have these conversations for forever. Some of these conversations we have had, and I just appreciate you showing up, saying yes, spreading the good word here on the podcast today, and just joining us, because I think people can, like, a lot of the questions that we asked were through the lens of some of your labels, but really it could help anybody, right? That's going through anything. And that's the beauty of these type of conversations. We ask you through through race and you being a father and a male, all these things, but really it's really inspiration for us all. So I just appreciate you sharing your story with us today.
Yeah. I second and third everything they said. I'll be honest, guys, y'all was like, we gotta get Matt on. The whole time they kept saying Matt, I had no idea who they were talking about.
You didn't?
No, because you never said a last name. Why? I mean, I was just gonna wait to see who showed up. Like, why? That's how I am. I don't care. Like,
you can roll with it either way.
Roll with it anyway.
That's hilarious.
Right? Because I swear to God, listen, guys, I'm telling on myself. Eric don't be doing all of that because I'm like, Matt's coming. Okay, I still got it. Like what CT said backstage, still got to do my job. So whether you was Matthew or Macker or whatever it was. Like, I'm like, hey, he's coming. And then we get here and it's the like, oh, this is about to be off the chain. So I just wanted you to know that, Matt, that I'm very excited that you're here too. I didn't know it was gonna be you, but I'm happy it was you.
I love it so much.
But yeah, I gotta be honest. Like,
So
I did not do my due diligence, but I'm not in charge of due diligence.
Hey, but can I just say that speaks to your level of professionalism in a way, because you were ready to show up and do the thing, right? You like, hey, Matt's showing up today. Yeah. Whoever Matt is, and Matt is a common name too. It could have been anybody.
That's the reason why I didn't know. That's why
literally could have been anybody.
Yeah. And he kept saying Matt. I'm like Matt, but he ain't said no last name, so I'm just like whatever. Like in my mind, I'm like, why does it matter? And I just kept going. So, yeah. No, I just kept going.
You're still gonna do the thing.
Happening.
So much respect for you, man. What you do is hard, and you are good at it. Keep on doing it. Keep showing up, no matter who the guest is. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, I have no choice. I have to show no matter who the guest is, but I'm happy that I get to guess who the guest is. Right? Like, it makes it fun for me. Like, the whole time I'm like, who's the guest? And they be like, such and such. I'm like,
oh, I can't wait for us to have an episode where we don't tell you, and it's somebody that you really wish you would have known. Oh, Cam in the background, we have to have a conversation.
All right. I mean, anywhere it goes, listen. They should call me Punch Bag because I roll with the punches. Okay, I'm just gonna roll with it. I'm gonna duck and dodge and do whatever I got to do. I mean, I didn't steal your tiger, Mike Tyson. Don't knock me out. All right. So my final thoughts for today are very simple and very sincere. First, you have to understand what love is. You also have to know what labels are, and then you have to be able to see beyond both. Because in order to truly love yourself and then seek love outside, you have to know what love is. And you also need to be able to understand how people will label you based off of their own perceptions. And then you have to be able to see beyond it. So as we continue to move forward in life, when we think about Black History Month, we know that as Black people, we have been battling and fighting labels forever.
Yeah.
It's our job to continue to teach love, defy labels, and continue to build beyond. So with that, I am going to go ahead and wrap us up today. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to this wonderful episode. Please give a round of applause to my homeboy, Matt. Everybody give it up for Matt. Yes, yes. Now, you guys know. You guys are wonderful. Thank you, Matt. Now, you guys know you can follow us on YouTube. We're also on any of your streaming locations. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and the various places you find us. We're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of the places. Please like, share, subscribe, tune in, because we're here for you guys. And you know what you can do? You can just chill until the next episode. Have a good night, guys. Peace.
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 I don't see it. It ain't there.